Hello, wherever you are and whatever time it is. Welcome to another Magnolia webinar. I'm Zach Grant. I'll be your host today. I'm here with Topher Zimmerman, and today we're going to present on, I'm going to mostly listen and answer questions from time to time. Topher is going to do all of the hard work, and he is going to be talking about how you can share your light development components via NPM. I think that's about it for me. Now over to Topher.
Cool, Zach. Thanks for the intro. So hello, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining today. We've been doing a lot of research and development in the past months and weeks that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. So today I'm going to show you how to share your components on NPM and also how you can use the components that others have shared there as well. And stay tuned for a special announcement at the end of the talk. So why share components? Why open source code at all? From a personal perspective, I'm happy if other people can use and benefit from something that I've done. It's fine to develop something for one project, but I'm happy if more people can use it. It's like cooking a meal. I need to cook for myself anyways, but it's more fun if I can cook for friends or family and I'm somehow happy to be feeding them. But there's more tangible benefits too. So it's going to be easier for me and for my team to reuse if I package up a component in a light module. And then there's the community benefits. So if somebody else or if you use a component that I've shared, you might discover some bugs and report them. So that's already great that I'm learning about problems in my code that I didn't know about. But people might also go ahead and submit a fix for the problem as well. Or they might submit improvements or translations for the project. That might sound a little far-fetched, but this is actually happening all the time on GitHub. So another benefit is that the more people contribute, the more we can see each other's techniques and approaches, and we can start to learn from each other. So now I want to move on to the how to convince your boss reasons. You might be excited about sharing something, but who's going to foot the bill for that? But there are some benefits for the boss as well. So, just imagine if there was a huge collection of quality Magnolia components available on the web. If you could find a component for all the common requirements, I'm sure your boss would like that. The more people contribute components to the Magnolia community, the richer the ecosystem becomes, and the more attractive Magnolia becomes to potential clients. So to get back to the food, if I cook for you sometimes, you're probably going to want to cook for me too. This is how communities grow and mature. I think it's pretty clear that we all stand to gain the better the Magnolia ecosystem becomes. And maybe just a last point, your company can gain some visibility on GitHub. Enough for the benefits about sharing components, but I can hear what some of you might be thinking. Why do I need to provide those components? Why doesn't Magnolia do that? 3 reasons. For one, you are the best front-end developers that the Magnolia community has. You are the ones in the trenches every day. You know which components are actually needed, what parameters those components should actually have, and quite frankly, you're up to date on the best practices in front-end development. Secondly, we do deliver a set of components with the Magnolia templating kit, the MTK, but based on our previous experience with templating kits, we really made a conscious choice to stick to the basics. So the MTK delivers the basics of how to connect to Magnolia. It stays away intentionally from JavaScript or CSS. And part of the reason there is that we don't want to prescribe one approach. We want to really leave complete freedom to the community. And then thirdly, at Magnolia we have limited resources. I think you'll agree that it's in your best interest that Magnolia focuses on the things that only we can do. Deliver the core features in the product and fix bugs. So just a really quick recap, a light module is just a directory of files following some conventions. And when you drop this directory or this module into the resources directory of a running Magnolia instance, everything is detected and instantly registered and ready to use. So it's really great developer ergonomics. And because everything is in this one directory, it's really easy to check things into source control. There's no configuration to download from the system. It's all there in that one directory. It's easy for people to understand the module, and having it checked in makes it easy to collaborate. Yeah, then lastly, light modules and light development in general can work in any Magnolia project. So you can do a project with just light modules, but you can also mix light modules and Maven modules. And this is a great way for front-end developers and back-end developers to collaborate on a project. They can each kind of own their own modules. As far as applies to this talk, the key point is that a light module is the perfect vehicle to share a component. Yeah, so that's the why. Let's take a look at the how. So first, I'm going to do things a little bit backwards. Before I show you how to share a component, I want to show you how to find the shared components, the shared modules, and how to use them. And then we'll go back and look at how to share one. NPM is what we've chosen as the location to share the modules. We did that to make, we just decided to recommend one location to make finding easy, to make things visible, and essentially to leverage the dependency system that NPM already delivers. NPM is a huge package manager for front-end code and libraries, and it already has really huge adoption and a really cool ecosystem of front-end tooling that we can leverage for light modules. Yeah, so how do we do it? So let's take a look at this. How can we find light modules on NPM? So I'm going to jump over to browser, okay, npmjs.com. And basically, we've said that when you share a light module in NPM, you give it a specific keyword. Magnolia light module. So if you search on that, you're always going to get just the Magnolia light modules. And there they are. There's already several shared. Basically, we created a bunch of examples to show kind of common patterns for sharing modules. And additionally, I can add another keyword if I'm looking for something in particular, language. Now it shows me anything that has to do with language that is a Magnolia light module. You can see on any package, if we go to it, first of all, again, somebody did a good job creating this module. There's a really nice README file. Right away, I can see if it's really what I was looking for. The features are described. I kind of get the idea right away what it does. I see what options I have in the dialog. Tells me how to use it. Tells me how to get a demo and a little bit of information for somebody new to Magnolia. And then also, directly on the NPM page, I can go to the source control. We're recommending people use GitHub, but of course you could use any source control that's public. And basically here is the whole source control project in case somebody wanted to modify the project or get other features like the demo files. So, okay, enough about finding. How about using? Yeah, so there's 4 key ways that you can use light modules. So one is directly from NPM. I'll show you how you can just grab the module. Anything on NPM is ready to use, so you can grab it directly. You could also check it out from GitHub if you want to work with the source code. And then later I'm going to show you how you can use what we call a light project. So a project just for front-end developers, so just with light modules. And you can also use light modules in Maven. So how to use light modules. Just a quick demo here. Let's say I want to use this language switcher Magnolia. So I just need the name, language switcher Magnolia. And it tells you over here this npm, how to install it, npm I language switcher Magnolia. So I already have a server, Magnolia server running. And here's my light modules directory. So I'm gonna get it in this webinar directory. So I can just go to the command line and I'll get out of here. And now I can just do npm install the name of the module. Okay, and it gets it directly for me. There's some warnings because I don't have a package.json there, but that's no problem. So now what npm does, it always downloads things into node modules. So there's my component. And now I can just add it to my light modules directory. And the system will pick that up. And I went ahead and also created a decoration to make it available on the basic page. So the module is ready to use, but I still need to configure it to make it available in Magnolia. So let's go over to Magnolia. Okay, I'll add a page from the MTK. So this is language. Actually, yeah, okay, language test, next. And this component lets you switch languages. So let's go ahead and say hello and create a German title and save it. And then open the page, add a component, and there's my language switcher available because Magnolia already picked it up. And save changes. Okay, language switcher. Let's look at how the website would look. And I can use the switcher to change languages. Yeah, so that's how you can use it. Nice and short. So basically, there's just a few fundamental guidelines on how to share. The rest is just details. As long as you follow these guidelines, then your module will be very easy for people to use. So the key thing is that what goes into NPM should be ready to use as a light module. So in your source control project, you might have a build process, you might have tests, you probably have some demo content, and it's easy to set up that when you build it to NPM, that stuff gets removed, and what you're left with is a pure light module ready to be used. The next key ingredient you already saw, that having this keyword, Magnolia Light Module, makes the component easy to find in NPM. And then it's very important to have a README so that once somebody discovers your module, they can understand, let's say in a minute, what that module is all about, whether it meets their needs. And then kind of a key philosophy on NPM that applies to any project is your module should be small and focused. You want it to be something that somebody knows what they're getting. It's not potentially going to bring in too many components that the person doesn't want. The smaller it is, the easier it is for somebody to understand, the easier it is to use it, and the easier it is for them to contribute back because they understand the module. They can report bugs and so forth. And then it should be shared publicly, and we recommend GitHub because it has a lot of great tooling to assist with all of these processes. All right, so let's get back to live demo about how to share a light module. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you light development in action and quickly create a module. And then from that point, we'll look at how we can share it. So we'll have the perspective of, maybe you already have a module that's built and you're wondering how to share it. Okay, so let's build a simple module. What would be kind of useful but easy to build? How about just a component that shows the subpages of a page? That's a pretty common requirement. I just want a list of the subpages. So we'll use the CLI to build that component real quick. Now, because it's going to be a shared module, it's most handy if I put it in a location where all my shared modules are. It doesn't really make sense to put it right in the context of a project. So let's get to that location. I have a published directory. So I'll get that location, and then we'll go to that location. And here's where I want to create my module. So I'm going to use the CLI mgnl create light module, and let's call it child page list. And let's follow the naming convention for shared modules. It has Magnolia at the end, which will make it also more identifiable on GitHub and NPM. So that looks good. Okay, so cool. My module is all set up. All the directories are in place. Now let's link it to my running instance. And what I'll do is I'll use a symlink, and that's a really convenient way to put things in your project that are located elsewhere on your system. So I'll go into my new module and do a pwd to get the location. And now I'm in my light modules directory. Okay, now let's link it. And we'll just make the same name. Okay, there's the symlink, and if we look at the console, we can see that it's picked up that directory, so we're good to go. Now we want to create the actual component. So we're in the module, let's create the component. We can use the CLI again. And we'll call it child page list. Okay, we've created our component, and looks like the system picked it up. Let's just go ahead and see if it's in the system. Oh, we need to make it available. And I still want to use the MTK basic page. That's such a nice way to reference things. I'll create a decoration. Actually, let me just do that in the file system. I'll just grab one from another location, decorations. Decorations are just a convenient way to modify registry items that another component brought in. So here's my new component, decorations, and I'll just paste in there. Okay. And here's my component, and I'll just make it available. Child list, child page list, Magnolia. Child page list. Okay, so hopefully I've set that up right. I see in the console that it got picked up. I go back to Magnolia. Let's create a new page. Demo child page list. Demo page list. Cool, it's available. And the nice thing about the CLI is it creates a ready-to-use component that shows all of the fields. So let's just fill it in. All right, so we have a working component. Now we just need to make it show the list. And for that, it's going to make more sense if it actually has some child pages. So I'll just quickly add a few pages. a page, and I'll add another page. Cool, we have 2 pages. So if I go to the page, all right, at the top I have the navigation kicking in from the Magnolia templating kit, but we want to add a list in the component that shows that page. So I've already prepared that, so I'll just copy that over. So obviously we want to change the dialogue. Let's maybe in the dialogue, what kind of control do we want to give an author? Let's say we just want to let them choose how many items would be listed. So, and we'll just have that be another text field. So I'll just copy it over. So it's basically called list limit. And it's, if somebody puts in 0, it lists all of them. So that's fine for the dialogue. Now let's tweak the template, FTL. And this is actually very simple. We can use the new navfn to get the pages and get the links to the pages. Okay, just uses navfn. So let's test that quick. Okay, cool. Now I've got this listing, and if I change the dialog, I could choose how many things should be listed. So now I have a component, and I want to share it. So that's the next part of the demo, is how do I take this any existing module with a component and share it? And we've prepared a lot of resources to help you with that. So there's examples, and there is a documentation page. So if you search the docs for finding and sharing light modules, or just finding light modules, you're going to get there. And it's going to take you to really a step-by-step guide on how to share a light module. So then here is an example. If you want to see kind of the boilerplate, this could be a place to start. I think it's nicer to create a module and then add the files in, but this also could be a place to start. So it's just called Shareable Magnolia, and it's really, the simplest component you can imagine, and just shows you the key files and patterns for sharing. So let's just go through this. Also, there's a checklist at the bottom of this page, and we can use that at the end to make sure we have everything. So we already have the name set up, location. There's tips about using the symlink, so you can put it in a different location than your project. We need a license file so that people know if they can use it or not. So let's just grab that quick from the example. So we recommend the MIT license so that anybody can use it on their project, but of course that's up to you. Okay, that's the license. Okay, then the README. Like I was saying before, it's really key that somebody can understand it, in 1 minute. So again, we have this template for your README file. Let's go ahead and we already have a README. The CLI created a nice README already, but this one's the one that is on that project is especially for sharing. I'm not going to do everything right now, but we'll just get the name right. And a description. And there's tips about everything else that you'd want to put in. Now, the one thing that's really handy is the screenshots. So I've already made those. So there's this dev directory. So there's this idea of a dev directory, and this is where you put all the things that have to do with building your project or tests so that they're easy to remove when we build the NPM package. Okay, so we have those there, and now we can just link to them quick. I know some of this stuff is not super exciting to watch in the webinar, but I thought it was important that you see really that you can really share something in just a few minutes, so bear with me here. Child page list and child page list dialog. Okay, so we have that set up. Back to the documentation page. Okay, we want to share this thing on Git. Before we do the init, the npm init, if we do the Git stuff, it gets brought automatically into the npm package.json. So, and I just want to say, if you haven't used GitHub, it's really good. Everything they do is awesome. So creating a new repository is going to give you all the instructions you need to connect it to your local directory. So let's create a new repository. And we use the same name, child page list Magnolia. And we don't need any of this stuff. Create repository. And here's all the instructions. So this is what we need. It's telling us how to initialize our Git repo. So let's just do that quick. So git init, git add all. So git commit -m first commit, and we'll add the repo and make a first push. Okay, so looks like that worked. And now if I look at the page on GitHub, my README's up, I've got all my screenshots, and I'm on a good start with the page being really easy to understand. So now that we have the Git initialized, we can get started with npm. This is also a very handy command line tool. So npm init, so it's going to walk us through it. It already knows the name of the directory, so we'll use that as the package. We'll start with a 0.1 version, description, entry point is fine, test command, git repository. See, this is why it's nice, because it hooks that up. And here's the keywords. So remember, this is really important. Magnolia light module, and it's also a component, so I'll add Magnolia component if someone wants to search just for a component. And I'm the author, oops, MIT. Yes, it's okay. Cool, I've got the package.json. That's the key thing for NPM. Now, one other key file is for Magnolia, the module.yaml. This is going to let people choose if they want to have other modules dependent on your module. So this is a good idea. And we, again, have the boilerplate in the shareable. And I will create that new file, YAML, paste it in. Okay, set the version and the name. Child page list, and you can also specify dependencies. I'm going to depend on 547 when decorations came in. Cool. So, all right, so we created that dev directory already. Now, a really nice thing to put in there would be some demo content. And we've basically already created the demo content, so let's just export that. I like to have little green balls, so I'm going to publish it. Cool. And now I can export that. Save it. Okay, find it. I don't want to see it in the Finder. And let's, in the dev, we'll create a new folder by convention, demos. And now we can put the demos in. Cool, it's in there. And I'm also going to put the decorations in the dev directory, because if somebody gets my module, they probably don't necessarily want child page list automatically added to the MDK for them. They should be in control of that. But we put it in dev, so it's very easy if they want to get at that decoration. Cool, okay, I think we're almost there. Yes, we are. So the last thing is an npm ignore file. And what this is, remember how I've been saying that what's published to npm should be clean. It shouldn't have this dev directory. It should just be a light module ready to go for production. And npm ignore specifies the things that shouldn't get pushed to npm. They'll just be in the GitHub repo. And again, we can use the boilerplate. New file, .npm ignore. There it is. You can see it specifies dev and node modules, etc. Cool. So that's that. And cool, there's a few tips there, and then there's a checklist. So yeah, we named it correctly. Cool, we have the keyword in there, we have a description, we have a README, screenshots for the README. It is small and focused, it's just one component. It's got a demo, it's ready to use. We set up the npm ignore. License file, the source code is available. We've got the module.yaml, we've got the npm ignore, and the advanced stuff, we don't have to worry about that. This would just be if we wanted a build process. So we're all good to go. So let's publish it to npm. And that's also very easy. So where the package.json is, that's what was created when we ran the npm init. Got a lot of changes, so I'm going to add all those. Prepare to share. Cool. Push. Great. And now put it on npm. npm publish. All right, cool. Let's double check that it's really there. It's not going to be available via the search right away because it's got to be indexed, but we can just hit the direct URL. Child page list. Oh, chilled page list. That also would be nice. Maybe somebody else can create that one. Okay, it's published on NPM, it's available. Anybody can just grab it now, like I showed you before with the NPM init. It's easy to understand. There's guidelines on how to use it. So that's how we share a basic module on NPM. Basically, I mentioned a light project before. You can see the link here. This is available on Magnolia's GitHub account. This is basically that you can start with a very slim definition of a project you want to build from light modules. So basically, you have your package.json, and in there you define the modules you want to bring down. And then when you build it, It gets everything for you into your source directory, and then with Gulp or Webpack or whatever build process, you can process those modules, maybe concatenating the JavaScript and CSS, and it creates a dist, so a destination, which has those modules processed plus a new light module with just the web resources that you've built. Advanced topics. Again, this is another thing that has a pretty detailed page on the wiki, but really, as long as you follow the golden rules, everything will be fine. So NPM package is ready to go. GitHub source control is where you do your fancy stuff. So fancy stuff, if you want to have Webpack, if you want to be building React applications in the project, if you want to be pulling in third-party NPM dependencies, that's one of the advantages of using NPM. I can bring in the front-end library I'm wrapping. Light project, and we also have a demo of how you can set up testing to run against Magnolia using Travis. So I recommend that you check that out on the wiki. So let's get cooking, huh? You know all about the why and the how. Maybe you're wondering what would be a good component to share. And I think it's nice to think about, break that down into kind of 3 flavors of things that you could share. So the first would be just pure Magnolia functionality, and that's what I illustrated today, just working with subpages, working with content apps, working with assets, maybe building a mega menu or something along those lines. The second category that is really interesting is making it easy for content authors to bring in something from a cool JavaScript or CSS library. So we have an example of the chart.js, which makes graphs and charts, or you could do an image gallery or an ad rotator, something like that. And then the third category would be, just again, making it easy for an author to bring in something from a web service. Maybe it's a map or MailChimp or even a list of components using the NPM API, something like that. So you see now that it is really straightforward to find shared modules, to use them, to share them, and it scales with whatever sophistication you want to bring to it. So you can do a simple module, and we support complicated modules as well. So what I really want to see and what I hope is that we can grow the community through the shared components. Yeah, so I'm at the special announcement slide, so I can't hold it back any longer. To launch this whole sharing initiative, we decided maybe we could spice it up a little bit, make it a little more interesting. So as of this moment, we are launching the component sharing contest. That's right, so you've got 1 month to submit a component. It's very you basically just share the component and then let us know on Twitter or via email. Anything that's submit, we're going to tweet about it. We want to give you visibility for your support. And yeah, we have a prize for the winning entry. So it's all about cool experiences, so we thought a cool prize would be something to make a new kind of experience. So this is, I don't know if you've seen these 360-degree cameras. They're really cool, and this is really the best consumer-grade one, the Theta S. In fact, that would be a fun thing to make a component to share these 360-degree experiences. I'm really looking forward to seeing all your entries. Really to support you, we've got a lot of new docs, which I've already showed some of them to you. We're going to have an email address. It's on the contest page. And we're also going to have a live chat room. So we just want to make sure that you're not getting stuck, that it's a fun process, that you have success in sharing your components.
Thanks again, and look to our mails to see additional details on the contest. Take care. Ciao, ciao.
Good night, everyone. Bye.